Howdy doody, everybody. How are you? So, the question I'm answering today is, how did you know when your nervous system was dysregulated? And this is a really interesting question because a lot of people, in my experience, I guess especially regarding sort of populations, people that I interact with, have not necessarily ever had a really well-regulated nervous system in their memory. Trauma and things from childhood can disrupt your nervous system from a very early age, as can things like medication, heavy amounts of antibiotics, anything that has a massive impact on your gut biome, even your diet, especially your diet too, can really disrupt the gut biome, which then disrupts the way that you manage and deal with stress and your body's ability to regulate and to cope with it. So that's the first thing that I would say. So for me, how did I know when things went from not obviously dysregulated to very dysregulated? So I had quite a few different symptoms in no particular order. I started to have really trouble sleeping. So I might sort of, maybe I'd get to sleep at 10 or 11, and then I'd wake up at 2 and I'd be awake till around 5. I'd get back to sleep again, and then I'd have to get up and go to work. So my sleep cycle got very, very, very disrupted. I would have heart palpitations sometimes at night and episodes of anxiety, which I'd never really experienced before. And for about a year and a half, I had like this little eyebrow tick contraction. Um, and that even to this day, if I find myself getting into a place where I'm a little bit too stressed, I'll get my little towel, I call it my towel, my little eyebrow tick back. I had a headache for a really long time. Yeah, I mean, a couple of years. I had a headache for a couple of years. Um, I had, increased muscle tension in different areas, and we're all different. So mine was really shoulders and jaw. Um, my brain would go on loops, looping around obsessional thinking, keeping on thinking. So, for example, stuff like if you have a conversation with somebody and you say something, and then you replay that conversation over and over again, and you worry that you said it in the wrong tone or the wrong pitch or used the wrong word, and you worry if they're offended. And oh my God, exhausting, just going round and round and round. I would also indulge in catastrophic thinking. So if something happened, it was the end of the world, everything was falling apart. My whole life sucked. I sucked. Everything was terrible. Um, I My hormones were on the loopy-loo, so I was having sort of hot flashes at night that weren't as a result of perimenopause or menopause at that stage. Um, and I was just really, like I was really fatigued and depleted. I would find myself reacting physically and physiologically to things. Um, in a way that was out of proportion. So, for example, I had been a teacher for a long time, and when my nervous system was dysregulated, if I was talking to somebody and then they told me that they were a teacher, I was just like, whoa, heart rate, boom, 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 anxiety, just felt awful, had this whole visceral kind of reaction and repulsion to hearing that this person was a teacher, like it was completely out of proportion. Um, I also felt and acted in ways that really weren't me. They didn't feel like me. They're just not normal for me. They weren't my sort of way of operating. So, for example, feeling pessimistic about things and thinking certain things that just were not typical of me and who I was and who I knew myself to be. Um, but also when I'm get dysregulated, it's really hard for me to feel me, to feel, my energy, what I feel like, what I stand for, what I like, what I don't like. When I'm very dysregulated and tired, I can't make the most basic decisions, and still when I'm tired now, I find that really hard. So that's a dead giveaway for me. Do you want a cup of tea? I don't know. Like I just couldn't make really basic calls. Um, and also, I would start acting kind of like a 2-year-old, um, which is very unattractive. I wouldn't do it necessarily out in public with Joe Blogs, but I would be sort of feeling like that inside, just really intense uh, no's, sort of like I was chasing my tail as well. In terms of what I felt like energetically as well, it was really feeling like my energy wasn't centered around me. It was way off, or I felt disconnected from myself and not at all grounded. If you were to draw a picture of my energy, it would have been really frantic and dysregulated and completely incoherent instead of, lovely and smooth and centered. So it's about finding out what your tell is, what your indicator is. And there was another tell that I had, which was a sore throat. And so that's one that if have been overly busy and doing too much, it'll just show up. It's not sore, it's just a feeling here. And then obviously my tick. So those both provide really good information for me. And everybody's tell will be different. So it's about finding out what yours is and working with it. So when you have that tell, when you notice it, go, okay, this means I need to double down on self-care. I need to drink more water. I need to rest more. Even if you're not sleeping, I need to rest more, and that kind of thing. So for me, actually becoming regulated so that my nervous system was regulated, and if my nervous system is regulated, my immune system tends to be regulated, and I tend to be able to emotionally regulate. And these three systems, types of regulation, are very intricately and intimately linked for everybody. So if you notice emotionally you're all over the place, chances are your nervous system is a bit dysregulated, and your immune system. If your immune system's all over the place, chances are your nervous system's dysregulated, and so you will probably be emotionally as well. Once I found regulation, for me, it was quite an eye-opener, because I realized that I hadn't ever really felt really well regulated before. And so the wonderful thing now is I have all these tools and strategies that I can use at will to bring myself back into regulation and into that wonderful state where I am in restoration and healing mode. So I am able to regulate my systems. And that is a massively important key component of success on planet Earth, life on planet Earth, and of course on healing and recovering, not only from chronic fatigue, but from any condition that disrupts your nervous system, your immune system, or emotionally disrupts you. I hope that's helpful. If you're interested in any of those things, I do run a course as well on regulating your nervous system and bringing back the calm, as well as the other one-offs that I do and the whole Healed Healthy program. Okay, my darlings, take good care. Bye now.